Welcome back, everybody, to Two Tamers Talk. Jesse here, as always, joined by my man, Jeff.
Hey, guys.
All right, we are back. We are back from locals. We have had a great time.
Blast.
Tell me how you did.
It was a blast. First of all, outstanding turnout, right?
What do we have, 22 this
22.
time, right? 22.
Now, 2 of us did miss the first round because we were late for work. That happens. Myself being one of those. I was going to play Blue Flare tonight. I was, with the ban, or excuse me, the restriction of Cross Hard, and I won with it last week. I was like, let's see how I can do with Blue Flare, because that's always a list that it seems like it's doing really, really well on our channel. Yeah. But I always want to improve things. So if I come up with improvements, I'll definitely pass on your guys' way. But I was like, I'm going to play Blue Flare. Well, got to, I missed the first round. I was working late, right? I have a real job. So I was like, you know what? I put this new deck together, I think the night before. And I remember you and I were doing we did some testing, and it worked a little bit better than I thought it would, and the concept worked. And I was like, well, I missed the first round. Let's get some more actual play testing, because that's what I love about our events, right? We have such a wide variety of players, all with unique play styles, right? Where, some people are really aggressive, some people are really defensive. It was just a great night of testing. I got a lot of fun games going on. I will highlight one game that I had, and I know he's listening to this right now. He says he listens to it at work on Friday, so I love that about you. But I was playing against my first round, so the second round of the night was against D-Reaper. And everything was just flowing for me, right? Game 1, I just had 7 memory every turn. And I was able to get my Justimon combo going. Yeah, where I was just...
That's what you were playing. Yeah, you were playing Justimon, your Justimon Zoo deck.
My Justimon Security Zoo toolbox, Mega Control. It was all sorts of fun shenanigans. And we're going to have that deck list up for you guys soon. I'm still tweaking it. But game 1, I had everything flow right. It was a pretty good win. Had 4 swings with my Justimon loop in a turn. And then game 2, things were going really, really well in his favor. And I just remember fishing. I was like, I need an Iron Fisted Onslaught to get rid of his 2 gatekeepers on board. Yeah. He played them both for super cheap, great execution. I was just looking for it. Yeah. I couldn't find it. Well, it was in security. He swung, hit it, killed 2 gatekeepers at the same time. And then in the same turn, he used the sources from underneath the mother to Reaper.
Did the big thing.
Big thing. Got a good swing on the first one, but then his second swing with a Reaper was my other Iron Fisted Onslaught. Yeah. So, I guess kudos to you for cutting my deck that way. Right?
I had similar success tonight.
Yeah, please. What'd you play?
Well, I'm just going to preface this and say I did not have great success tonight because I played... I don't get as much testing as this guy over here. I don't know, spoilers, but he lives with a tester, and he has 2 testers that literally live next door to him.
I know a guy.
So he gets to test a lot. So some of these locals, especially leading into a new format, I'll kind of use it to get ready for the new format.
Yeah, that's
so
a good
obviously
idea.
I'm a big machine guy, right? So we got that new Chaos run coming out. So I have some more tweaks to that deck to do, but I was getting it ready with a black base and getting it ready to have because all my level 6s, when that new Chaos run comes out, will be black. So I changed things up quite a bit. I like the way it flowed. I'm going to make some changes, but I also had fun with Iron Fisted tonight because I played against a Ragna deck that was really fun, friend of the channel, and he had both the Bry and the Duranda out. And he had the Ragna in his hand, he told me. And he got greedy. He decided to swing with both of the...
It's the right move, though. You got to have that aggression. You got to swing when you can. It was
great. He hit my security, hit an Iron Fisted Onslaught, and killed both of the level 6s. And
you hate to see it, man.
To me. Yeah, so it was it was a fun locals tonight. I don't want to say a controversy, but with 22 players, it technically dictates 5 rounds, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing this up. This is a good point.
So Bandai has these numbers where in TCG it kind of dictates how many rounds you're supposed to have. But Bandai also says that you have 55-minute rounds plus 5 minutes at the end or whatever. So those are long rounds.
Yeah, and we always have people going at a time.
Yeah, when you have 22 players.
Especially the wide variety of decks, wide variety of play styles and matchup combinations.
Player experience difference. You have a lot of that where you're reading a lot of cards, especially since we're 12 sets in now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cards people need to read still, you know? So... we went into round 4 and we had 3 undefeateds. So what ended up happening was the two with the highest pairing, so the 2 with the best strength versus opponents got paired for essentially the final game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the 3rd undefeated got down paired just based on strength of opponents. And so he got paired against someone that had lost. And then, obviously the two that went for first got first. And then he actually won. So he still went undefeated for the night.
Yeah, he was undefeated. 2 undefeateds at the end of the night.
Yes. But so it could have dictated a 5th round. But at the end of the night, we start at 5.
On a Wednesday.
So, I can see it both ways. It's just one of those things where it's just kind of a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
It's like you play opponents, but your strength of opponents kind of dictates that 1, 2, 3, like where you're slotted for your undefeated, strength of opponent. So technically, according to the algorithm, he had an easier time getting to undefeated, but very skilled players, obviously.
Yes.
So it's like, it's not your fault because you did win every single game.
Yeah.
But he did lose some games in between. Like he did get some 2-1s. And so maybe the 2-0s got better. Like they just 2-0'd more. So there is a lot of math involved there. But I know it feels kind of crappy to win all your matches and still end up in 3rd or 2nd.
Yeah, absolutely. It might have been my fault because I think I was supposed to play him round 1 and I just had to take the low 2 loss.
Yeah,
that, and then
so he got 2-0 that round.
Yeah, which is it's fine. And then like the later rounds, I didn't do so hot, so maybe it was my fault when playing kind of like a jank deck that I was testing for the first time. That
I played him too.
Ended up falling to 3rd, right? Yeah. So it's like I feel bad, but it is what it is. I think 5 rounds. You're talking about player fatigue. You're talking Wednesday night. It's getting late. I know we come back and we're recording this, afterwards. So.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's a lot of maintenance to do if people drop, right? So that's kind of what you weigh it against, because we like to prize everyone out at the end. We like to do our giveaways near the end. We like to make sure that like people like to hang out. It's a community environment, but the longer you go into the night on a weeknight or even on a weekend, because usually on Fridays we start at 6. So 5 rounds is going to go till 11 o'clock. People got things to do. So especially if you're a newer player or you just didn't bring any fire that week, or you're testing something and it just didn't work out. It's like, do you really want to play that 5th round?
Do you want to lose 5 rounds in a row?
Exactly. You're still playing for the same prizing. You know what I mean? And it just seems like. So I think what we're probably going to do moving forward is probably just roll with the 4 rounds, unless there's like 4 undefeateds going into round 5.
Yeah.
If there's 4 undefeateds, then maybe just keep the top 2 that go fully undefeated to play a final round, and then we'll stick around to record it and obviously give it for you guys. But so that we did want to discuss that and bring that up. So it is kind of a give and take scenario for sure. But speaking of long tournaments, we do have some Grand Prix results.
We do. This deck list is crazy.
Yeah,
for those of you who have not seen it.
Ooh, it is wild.
Oh my goodness.
As soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, we got to talk about this one.
What a cool list.
Yeah.
Seriously, what a cool list.
So this is the self-defined by the pilot as a armor toolbox deck.
Oh, that makes so much sense. It's such a great.
It's not an armor rush deck, because you're not really rushing with it.
You still have that strength of the armor rush, but it's not 100% geared to that.
No,
right?
your strength in this deck is definitely the top end.
Yeah.
Because you get that. It's definitely the Magna, but I love what he did with that Jessmon, and that's kind of what everyone.
GX makes so much sense. It's one of those things that like now that we're seeing it, it's like, oh, that's, but it's like, we didn't think of that.
No.
I know we were talking in the shop when Jessmon GX came out, we were all opening our boxes and our packs, and we were like, oh, Jessmon GX can go on any Royal Knight. And we were like thinking of every Royal Knight.
Yeah, we're like, Kentorosmon.
Yeah, what color do we put this in? What could we do?
Like anything with a Digivolving effect, right? Because that's what it replicates. But we didn't think about the fact that like Magnamon is a level 4 Royal Knight.
Yeah.
Like that didn't occur to me right off the bat. And so basically what the Jessmon GX does is acts as like a better Blitz Omni, right?
For this deck, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because you get to use the Jessmon. You can either tuck the Magna to restand, or you can use that dual color Tamer to restand.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't dictate that it has to be a green, blue, or anything like that. It's just dual color. So very, very good toolbox deck. Of course, there's the Death X's in there because that's part of the format, right? So
yeah.
Definitely, 2 Death X's and 48 other cards.
And I like the term toolbox that he uses because he's got a lot of great defense built into the deck naturally without sacrificing his aggression and the strength of his deck.
Yeah.
You're talking 4 15K level 7s in your security, right? So if someone's trying to swing, they got so much pressure and aggression, 15K is going to take most things out.
Not to mention the Mega Death, which is, in my opinion, the best removal card in the game.
Mega Death is a killer card in security. The Awakening of the Golden Knight can be pretty useful too. 2. I mean, we're just seeing, like I said, a lot of high DPs. You still got the 4 Magna X at 11. So compared to the decks in this meta right now, where it's usually lower DP, right? This is such a great defensive that just so naturally built in.
Well, that combo with all those awesome like dual color level 4s, and then that Chimeramon I think is genius. I mean, it's just a one of.
I tried doing it as a 2 of, but I was never messing with Pyodramon in my Armor Rush decks because I was kind of like a Chimera. I'm very loyal to Chimeramon.
Well, especially with all those colors. Like, look at that. You got green, blue, red, and yellow in all those armors.
Yeah,
beautiful. I love it.
I love these ratios. Like we're talking 4 level 7s, 4 level 6s, 3 level 5s, right? Yep. But I think the number that stands out to me the most, and I know this is a big thing I always harp on with my decks, is the level 3s.
Oh, we know.
14 rookies. I mean, you like just having the strength of consistency of being able to draw, having early pressure. I know Armor Rush naturally does play a lot of VMons, a lot of rookies, right? Yeah. But I mean, this is awesome. I love seeing this number. I love 14 level 30s in a deck. Except if I'm playing purple, right? I change, but.
Yeah, but I mean, this deck does something you never do.
What is that?
Those 5 eggs. Look at that. He actually plays all 5 eggs.
I play 5 eggs sometimes. It just depends on the deck, right?
You can go back through all your deck profiles and count on one finger probably
how many decks.
Yeah. Even your Rookie Rush deck didn't have 5 eggs.
I know. I just love consistency too much. No,
consistency is the name of the game. But I think that this deck just toolboxes for everything. I mean, your Digimon are just going to stay on the board. I mean, all that Armor Rush or all that Armor Purge is just it's just menacing, and it just stalls. And man, it's such a great deck. I was looking at this one forever.
Yeah,
and I was just like, I wish I could have watched those matches.
Oh, it would have been killer to see those matches. I really like the 3 Flame Dramon too. I think it makes a lot of sense. I feel like in Armor Rush when I play it, I always try too hard with Flame Dramon, and I feel like it always burns me.
Kind of peters out.
Either trying too hard with Fire Rocket and Flame Dramon, or realizing that that's not the card I need. I'd rather have that 4th Light Dramon. So really do like his ratios quite a lot.
Very, very cool deck. Shout out,
best
mention for Grandis for second.
Grandis, always going to be a good deck. Always going to be a fun deck. It's good.
Yeah. And we talked about that kind of like in this meta, and we were talking with our green player buddy, was just like, it's so good in this format because also this isn't a heavy kill spell format. No. It's not, you don't see, I mean, even though we just got done talking about how much we love Iron Fisted, it's just not a crazy kill spell format. So it's really good for OTK decks like that, like Alphamon right now. Like Alphamon's still doing really well. I think it did really well in some Latin America tournaments I saw.
It's got a couple more days to do good.
Yeah. We got another week. So I guess that we can probably just jump into that topic. Because that's kind of the big one, right?
Yep. So for those of you who don't know, there's a restriction list coming to the non Japanese, Singapore, whatever scene you're in, right? This is for like the rest of the world. November 11th, 4 cards are getting restricted to 1. So the first card we were just talking about in Alphamon, Doru Gray.
Okay, this is the one that we knew was.
We did. Yes. Everybody kind of saw it coming, but I feel like everybody prematurely dumped Alphamon. You know what I'm saying? Like, Alphamon could have very easily won all of our locals for the past X number of weeks. I mean,
with the right pilot. Yeah,
with the right pilot and with the right build and all that stuff, it could have easily won tons of tournaments. And it's still not banned for, another 9 days, I think, because we're recording this on the 2nd or the 3rd or whatever. And it's like, you can still win with Doru Gray at the alpha. It definitely needs that card.
And that's kind of the funny part about it too, right? Is like when it got the ban or the restriction, I'm going to use, if we say ban, I'm not going to correct myself anymore. We know it's a restriction, right? So when it got the first restriction in Japan, the funny thing is I feel like it cleared out of our locals, even though they could still use it, right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as the restriction finally got announced for the US, we saw at least 2 or 3 Alphamons last night, which was I thought was really ironic and funny.
Yeah. One last shot with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, such a great deck. But this is kind of the one that I felt was kind of past its prime. Like,
I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Like, Alpha was wrecking shop for like the past 2 formats.
Yeah.
And now we're getting the restriction when there's no future Alphamon support really on the horizon that I've seen.
No. You're absolutely right. So, do you agree with this restriction then? As a one of?
I do, but at the same time, I feel like
it's too late, right?
I think it's too late, and I think that like honestly, if they wanted to make the deck a little bit more fair, I think they should have probably restricted the Oryu instead. I think
really?
I think that one is definitely much
prevent
more
the
menacing.
multi-swings.
Yeah, I mean, he's already swinging for multiple checks. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And it's tough. It's really tough. I think it's worth it just to kind of try and do a little power balance with that deck.
No,
so what do you think?
I agree with you. I agree with you. I definitely think it's past. It's like it's almost too late.
Yeah.
I don't want to say they should have banned Doru Gray on the first week of BT9, right? You know, give Alpha some chance to just wreck house and show what they do. But the problem is without knowing the other restrictions on this list, right? Let's say this was the only card they had restricted. I think what happens is Crossheart is just would be you know, especially with the restriction they did to yellow hybrids.
Yeah.
Right? Like it would just be Crossheart dominating.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there are other great decks, Armor Rush that we just talked about, Armor Toolbox, just one. You know, so there are other good decks, do not get me wrong, but Crossheart is so deadly.
Well, and then that goes into the next card. So that one is like right in the middle of its format, which is crazy to me. So they restricted the Shout 4 or the Cross 4, right?
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that? I mean,
I agree with this restriction. I think
this early.
Okay, so
or do you think it should have its time in the sun like Alpha did?
It's bad because I feel like this is the right move because I feel like that this could potentially turn off a lot of players to the game.
Okay.
Right. And
like blue hybrids.
Yeah. Like kind of like the hybrid format where we had a loss of players because nobody wanted to play hybrids except those that actually like really liked the format.
Yeah.
You know,
so we played blue hybrid.
Yeah. Like we lost a lot of players. We lost a lot of our good friends that are finally starting to trickle back in. And I don't want to see them go away again. Yeah. And I'm not, this is not an insult to them. I don't think it's because they're fair weather. I don't think it's anything with that. It's just a frustrating game style. And I think Crossheart is equally as frustrating and toxic, you know, in certain regards.
In certain regards, yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, it doesn't feel as brain dead because, you know, I've been playing with it and I just won with last week with it, right? You know, you do have to be a little bit better of a pilot, I think, than you do with the hybrid deck.
Yeah.
I do think you have to focus more on your ratios because you're not, you know, just jamming 4 of everything that works, you know?
Also, it doesn't... The thing that was frustrating about Blue Hybrid that I don't think is as frustrating with Cross. Like, with Cross, you still get to play your deck.
Yes.
And that was a frustrating thing with Blue Hybrid. It's just like, it was literally, I'm going to do my thing and you can't do yours. And so
that's
everything,
a great point.
So it changed. That's why I think that was frustrating.
Yeah.
But I think the Cross 4, I mean, we didn't see as many Cross players as we thought we were going to see in our shop playing Cross just from the beginning. So to me, it doesn't feel as warranted just because it didn't have the effect that like blue hybrids had. But, you know, if you're talking about on a regional standpoint, on a, you know, grand scale where you're going to start seeing it top every tournament, which we haven't seen. I mean, it's done well. It's been up there.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people are playing other stuff right now. So I think that they are preemptively making that possibly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, you get the Cross 3 coming up, and I think that'll just kind of sub in.
I think out of all the cards for the Crossheart deck, that is the right one to restrict.
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
I remember like talking, you know, seeing a bunch of chatter with the Asian side, right? Like with on Facebook or Japanese players, Singapore players, where they would call for like the Green Tamer to be the one to be restricted because of the memory gain and stuff like that, or sometimes the Yellow Tamer. So I think out of all of the cards, this is the best choice that they could have made to restrict. So
it's the most loopable one.
Yeah, because you know it still gives some creativity to the deck to where you can figure out a way. Like if you really do want to play some sort of Ballistamon, you know, Zenjiro style deck, you can still mess with that. But
so I mean, I think we both agree on that one too. It's a little. I agree with it. It's just a little early to me. I feel like
it does feel early, doesn't it?
I
know it's the right call. I know it's the right call, but you're right. It does feel early.
Yeah. And then speaking about one that I think, I mean, we kind of borderline disagree on this.
Yes.
But we got Sunrise Buster. So I think that was a huge one that I think a lot of people borderline saw coming. We had some people in the shop call that from really early on that was going to get restricted.
Yeah.
We had, you know, a really good red yellow hybrid player that plays that and does really, really well with it. And then Sakuyamon, you know, when they announced this restriction, we hadn't seen any of the yellow red BT12 reveals yet, right? Yellow red. So we were like, did Sakuyamon really put the nail in the coffin for Sunrise Buster? I mean, it's an amazing card in that deck, right?
It is.
Like, and we're going to have a profile.
Great
Here
profile
comes the plug.
up.
Yeah. But, yeah, I was like, really? Sakuya really put Sunrise down, right? And then, in my opinion, the next day, after they announced the restriction, we got the reveal for that new Marcus. And I was like, okay. I was like, I think that was a big reason why. And then you see the option that also comes with the Marcus that does almost the exact same thing as Sunrise Buster and plays a Marcus specifically.
This is a little worse than Sunrise Buster.
So I think it's a little worse. It's a little worse. Yeah, it's not as versatile. But I honestly think that so we got the Doru Gray that was too late. We got the Shout that potentially was too early. And then you have the Sunrise, which I think was I personally think was possibly a preemptive restriction based on how crazy this red yellow stuff's going to go. You know, I think that is going to be a crazy deck. I mean, especially you have that dual color Agumon. The fact that it's 2 colors requirements, I don't think is really going to be an issue at all come BT12. I don't think that's going to be hard to get out at all. You have so many things, so many cheap things that are dual colors now. It used to be part of the why the card was either really cheap or expensive. You know what I mean? It used to be that's going to be a harder thing to get out because you have to have 2 colors on the field. And it's but now everything is dual color. Yeah. There's a whole deck, that's red, yellow. So what do you think about
I disagree with this restriction straight up. I mean,
really?
So my most experience, the 2 decks that I played that I used the most of Sunrise Buster were my Yellow War Gray deck that goes into War Gray X Antibody. Love that deck. It's a blast. I love Sunrise Buster, and that's very strong. And Crossheart. Those are the 2 decks that I've personally been playing that use Sunrise Buster the most. I think let me start over. I disagree with this restriction because of the fact that I think they've already hit Crossheart. Right. Okay. And I do think that Sunrise Buster is better than Crimson Blaze as the removal for example, in Crossheart. So I think why would you restrict 2 cards for Crossheart? Because I don't think Bandai is thinking about the future personally. Right. I don't think they're thinking all the way ahead to BT12 to restrict Sunrise Buster. That's one of those, the set would have to come out. People would abuse the crap out of it. Then they would call for that restriction after the set came out. But that's just my opinion. And I think they've already hit yellow hybrids really hard with the restriction of Jet Sylphie.
Yeah.
I mean, if we didn't have that restriction on yellow hybrids, you would have Crossheart, assuming they didn't do the restriction there, Alpha and, yellow hybrids as the top decks of the set right now, I think. And they've already hit that. So why are they hitting it again? I mean, I kind of don't see where the Sunrise Buster, I know it's a strong card, but it does require a lot of tamers for it to go off. It does require the dual color, which right now is a little bit harder than BT12 will be for sure, right? I know there's a tie-in Kari that does really help the Sunrise Buster in this case, but I don't agree with this, man. I don't know. I know it's a strong card. I know. I've used it. I've abused it, but it's not like I just kill everything. It's not like Spiral Masquerade or even, BT2 Shine Gray where it just wipes boards or whatever, with all the tamers and stuff. Yeah, it only hits one body and you still have to have, 4 tamers to kill a level 6.
But it plays a tamer.
I know it plays a tamer, but you have to have 3 on the board and then hit the 4th, so I might be have an unpopular opinion with that one.
All right. Well, we'll agree to disagree on that one. So the next one I disagree with wholeheartedly. And that is because I mean, I'm not a big purple player, but so Calling from the Darkness, right? So that got restricted to 1. That's a really late call. That card's been out forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Really weird because I can't think of a purple deck that I've seen in person or really competitive placing in big tournaments that plays more than 2 of it anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Purple is so good at recycling options with the Matt and the Lilithmon and some other stuff. Most people already only play 1 of in decks anyways, just as kind of a tech if they need to use it. I haven't seen it super abused, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that will point us to a video where
we would love to see that. Please send it our way because I agree with you. I agree with the disagreement of this restriction.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I think I've used the Calling from the Darkness at most as a 2 of in decks.
In Cherubi?
Yeah, and Cherubi or other decks as well. And it's I felt like I didn't need the second one almost. There's so much draw power in purple. Ratios are always so fine. Room is incredibly tight in any purple deck. For
Right.
those of you that are loyal to purple, you know what I'm talking about. And yes, the card is really good, but it doesn't mean you just win.
Right.
Now, had the Eismon not been restricted,
Oh my god.
right, then maybe yes, this would be it definitely restrict that. But they made the right call restricting the Eismon. Don't worry, even though I was really butthurt about it because that was like so strong in the deck.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't need more than one in the deck for purple, anyways. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're talking about BT12, it's going to be my segue into BT12.
I love it.
By the way, I mean, if you're talking purple, let's just talk purple.
Yes.
It blows my mind. I guess not blows my mind because my Chaos Dramon's getting an X antibody. But they're also giving Beelzemon an X antibody.
Yes.
And it is good. It is good.
it's very good. It's a great card. I mean, I love the artwork. I cannot wait to see the alt art of this.
Yeah,
it's going to be incredible.
Fantastic. But I mean, if you're thinking about it, so what it does is when you digivolve, it only costs 1 to digivolve on a Beelzemon, right? Which Beelzemon players that's what they use. That's what they have out, right?
Yep.
If this Digimon has Beelzemon or the X antibody option, which is interesting because you don't see a lot of purple decks playing that X antibody option, right? Very interesting.
Yeah, you don't. I don't think there's been a purple deck that you play the X antibody
Like Dark
option.
Knightmon just does Dark Knightmon things, right?
Yeah.
You don't usually,
And that's a black deck. Come on. Yes, that card is half purple, and yes,
Yeah.
the death axes are purple, and you can play Immortal Ruler and Calling from Darkness and that, but it's a black deck. Come on.
Well, okay. Well, what about Dexdoru?
Yeah. No, well, nobody played that besides me, which now I'm sad about the Dora Gray ban for that one deck, but whatever.
So, anyways, if you digivolve with the Beelzemon or X antibody and its Digivolution cards, for every 10
Yep.
cards in your trash the top of your opponent's security stack. That is crazy because what that does is it shores up the gap that Beelzemon players have, right? Because they love to trash their deck, right? Because they get to play the Impmons, gain memory with Death Stinger, do all the fun things, right? Kill bodies with the blast mode, right? Like all the cool things that they get to do just from trashing cards. They also get the added bonus of running like a 1 or a 2 of in their deck with this card and using it as a finisher.
So does this take the spot of Blast Mode? For all those Beelzemon players, I need you to let me know because Blast Mode kind of seemed like that game ender for that deck. That was the top end. And I know Blast Mode can go on top of this as well. Don't get me wrong.
Why
but
would you ever put
seems
anything on
like,
top of it, though? I don't think you
Yeah,
would.
that's how I feel, right? Like this kind of...
This is
does
a
it
Digivolve
take the
for
spot
one.
of Blast Mode, or do you do like a 1-in-1? Do you do like a 2-in-1 of Blast Mode in this? Like, I'm excited to see what happens with this card for sure.
I think for sure, like your whole goal now in Beelzemon, like you get to do all the things and control their board with the deletions from trashing, the gain memory and all that stuff. You can literally just keep this in your hand.
Yeah.
Digivolve for 1, like because you get to swing with a couple of your Impmons, right? So you're going to probably chip away 2 of their security. And all you have to do, I know it sounds like a lot for a lot of non-purple players, but all you have to do is get 30 cards in trash.
Which is very doable in this deck, yes.
You're trashing 3 cards at a time with the Impmons and stuff like that, you know? So all you have to do is get 30 cards in trash, digivolve for 1, trash all 3 security, and swing.
Yeah.
For 1 memory. Like this...
That's a very good card.
This shores up, I think, the biggest gap, like I said, that they have was like... So when I play against Beelzemon, like with Machine or any other kind of control decks, like deck out is a very, very viable way to win against those decks, right?
Yeah.
You just keep your board state. You let them swing. You block. You do things to kill their Impmons.
We always joke in the shop. It's like Beelzemon players don't lose; they deck out. You know,
exactly.
Like...
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. But now, like the closer they get to decking out, the more menacing this is if they have it in their hand. And the thing is too about Beelzemon is they see their entire deck in every game almost.
Yeah.
So all they have to do is put 1 of in their deck, and they'll probably find it unless it's in their security. So
Beelzemon's like the hardest deck to build though with all the ratios. That's why it's like I'm so concerned with room.
I would find room for 1 of these.
I'm definitely finding room in, I know we're talking about a completely different format, but chosen ones. I love playing. I have a Beelzemon deck where it's like 1 of every Beelzemon. So every time one of these comes out, I got a new Beelzemon to put in my deck.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for that format, but it's going to be hard to see in the actual standard format, right? How it's going to be used right now.
And then, like we talked about, we have all that crazy red-yellow stuff.
Look at all this red-yellow.
All the red-yellow. That Agumon is so good, too. We have...
So what color eggs do you think people are going to play this deck? Are they going to play red eggs because of the red Koro, and this Agu can digivolve on a Koro?
I think so.
I mean, I know that we're getting that new BT12 Koro. We have a BT 4 yellow Koro, if I remember
I
right.
think so, yeah. But I don't think the inheritable's that good.
It's
right?
not. It's not that good. No,
but
it's
the
not.
inheritable on this one, the BT12, is when one of your yellow or red tamers is suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1k. Like,
That's not bad.
it's not great.
But
I mean,
like,
it depends on what method you're going for. I mean,
red Koros are so good. There's draw. There's extra
Yeah.
DP. You know, there's
I
so
think
many
you go
good
for
things.
the draw. I think draw over minus DP is
Yeah, because
probably
you're better off
better.
having all these pieces in your hand, especially if you can only play a one of Sunrise Buster anyways.
But
right?
it's like,
To draw.
you might not even Digivolve that because the on
Yeah.
play is so good. Reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add one Digimon with Greymon in its name, and a Marcus. That's
Yes. And your entire deck by this point will be Greymons.
right. And
Yes.
and for 3, you've already set up your dual color requirements
Yep.
for your one of Sunrise Buster, and the new option that you
Yeah.
get with the Marcus that plays the Marcus, right? So
Yeah.
you get to pick up the Marcus and a Greymon, and then you also get to use the option to play. It's crazy. And then
Yeah.
we finally got a dual color Shine Gray. Like, I think red yellow is just going to be so much fun in this format. I might
Yeah.
actually play it and have fun with it.
I think so too. And what I really like about this game is I feel like Bandai is starting to see how decks kind of evolve and grow. So, for example, this Greymon, the yellow-red Greymon, specifically has a requirement where you can digivolve an Agumon with like dinosaur in its traits or whatever the translation is going to be. But this is important because it can digivolve for that alternative requirement on an Agumon X.
Yeah.
Right, whereas before, like when you were playing BT5 Greymon, you could not digivolve for one, or
yeah.
gain that memory back, on top of an Agumon X. So sometimes you had to either catch players on that, or you had to like just play around it, or just digivolve for 2, because 2 is not that bad for 4, right? So I really like that Bandai's starting to see these things and starting to like make it so it's like you are going to play Agumon X antibody in this deck, so let's make the Greymon that.
Well, and speaking of things that people wanted to see, like, people have been talking about Marcus punching people in the face since the game started, right?
Yes.
They're just like...
This is incredible. Can you just read this description so we can just go over this and start about
so
it?
The key point here, I think, and the part that I missed on my initial read, right? I just looked at it, I read it, I'm like, this thing can digivolve, it can go for 1 at any time. So it's not as good in that regard. So you have to do it at the start of your main phase.
They made it balanced.
Yes, you can't just throw them down and pull them up in the middle of the game and swing.
Yeah.
You have to do it at the start of your main phase. So if you have a Digimon with Agumon or Greymon in its name, by paying 1 cost, he becomes a Digimon with 3k DP, and it can't Digivolve, so you can't put anything on top of it, right? So you can use Marcus to punch for 1 if you need for that game, you know what I mean? Or if you have multiple out, like how cool would that be to just bring them all out?
Yeah.
If you're set to 3 and you just punch with 3 Marcuses for game. Like,
So, like, what happens to the status? Does he no longer become a tamer card? Like, if you were to play Sunrise Buster or this new red-yellow option?
the thing is it says this tamer is also treated as a Digimon. So
So he's still that tamer.
I think he applies to...
So he's still going to have that status of tamer for any reasons in your deck that you're going to need a tamer, right? Especially with the Koromon egg, where a tamer becomes suspended because you're going to suspend Marcus if you swing with him.
Or like plugins or whatever, where you have to have a tamer. Like he's still going to classify
That's what
as a tamer.
I'm going to use a plugin. I'm going to digimodify on Marcus to give him jamming unblockable.
Do it. You won't.
There we go. It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be a fun new tech. It's funny when you like read some of these new techs and you're like, some of them you're really excited for, and some of them you're just like, nah. Like Cross. When I first read Cross, I was like, oh, that sounds gross. But,
Yeah.
But then you start like playing with it, right?
Yeah, you have to actually.
It gets more
yeah.
comfortable. It gets much more comfortable. So crazy. We were talking about. Last week we were kind of talking about what do you think the secrets are going to be in this new set? And we finally got a reveal this morning for the secret. Have you seen it yet?
I saw it for like 30 seconds.
Okay. Not one anyone guessed, right?
No.
Not even close. Once again, like last set, we got the Galacticmon.
Yeah, that nobody saw coming.
Nope. This one is the Darkness Bagramon. So they're going hard on D Brigade.
Yes.
And it is...
Or Bagra's Army, not D Brigade.
Oh, yeah, Bagra's Army. I'm sorry. Bagra's Army.
Other evil army.
Other dark, crazy thing. Yeah. So this thing is super powerful. It reminds me a lot of Machine Dramon, if we're being honest. It does cross for 3 for 2 things, so you can play it for 10
That's
at the
expensive.
cheapest, right?
Yeah.
So super expensive. But on
It's
play
a level
/
7 with Digicross.
Yeah, 15K with cross. Digivolves for 6 on purple and 9 from black.
I know. Nice, Bandai, nice. But I don't know why they did that interesting cost. Like, why? Obviously, they want you to go on top of Bagra or even Dark Knight, I'm almost sensing, right, with this, right? Yeah. Because of the different costs. And both of those you could play for 6, but it's an interesting cost differential there.
Right. So you digivolve it for 6 or just play it for 10 if you have the right pieces. But yeah, so on play or when digivolving, it's a Gaia Force, delete one of your opponent's Digimon. And then you may place up to 5 Digimon cards with Bagra in their traits from underneath it. What does that sound like? You put 5 sources under something. I've never heard of that before, right? Stealing from my machine. But so very good. Very, very good.
What's crazy is if you use this in Bagra's Army, and if you have not seen our Bagra's Army list, check it out. Another shameless plug. But the U allows you to play up to 3 sources from underneath it to reduce the cost by, I think it's 1 or 2. I can't remember off the top of my head. But you can stack the U's and use all those sources. You could make this dirt cheap to hard play. And give it a crap ton of sources to then do its other ability, you know?
Yeah, and then the opponent's turn. The other thing that's just crazy about this, so we've never seen this before, right? Yeah. Opponent's turn, when your opponent's Digimon digivolves or attacks. So basically, when your opponent does anything,
when they play the game,
you can take those 5 cards and return. What do? You trash the 5 cards.
Yep.
You trash them, and then all their tamers go away.
Well, this isn't crazy, right? So it's like they realized how strong Crossheart was, and then like, well, we haven't restricted anything, so let's just make an anti-cross deck, which was kind of what Bagra's Army should have been from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. And then the fact that you trash those sources, so every card basically from BT10 purple had the inheritable of when you trash this card, gain 1 memory.
Yeah.
Right. Especially the Bagra's Army stuff. Like obviously Bizamon has a different inheritable and blah, blah, blah. But so you can literally, when your opponent does something, you trash 5 things and gain 5 memory. That's going to stop your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
And then it's going to like slide just so conveniently to you where you're going to be placed at 1 or 2. And then your memory setter will put you at 3 or beyond.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
So in response to that too, we had some really interesting white cards, right? We had the Clockmon.
Yeah,
which is
a lot of
additional.
I love this vibe of this old man here.
Well, do you know? Did you read the lore behind the old man?
No, I have not.
So we have. Okay. You're not the only Digi Encyclopedia, right?
we have someone else.
We have some great younger players that. He told me the lore behind this, like in Discord. So, because they posted the old man, and I'm like, what in the actual, like, what is this weird lore? And apparently, this old guy is him, the level 7. After he gets his data taken away against the Shoutmon X7F superior mode. So apparently, like, that level 7 becomes that old dude when he gets, like, his power sucked out of him or something.
Interesting.
So I might YouTube that and watch that fight. So what he said, one of our awesome younger players, he's projecting that X7F, like that big Shoutmon that got in the fight with him, might be our other secret because we have another secret yet to be revealed.
Great prediction. We're excited to see if that comes true.
So, I mean, you have the counter to Shout.
Yeah.
Do they give us another big Shout monster?
I think so. Yeah. I think it's time, especially if they are going to restrict cross 4, right? And we now are going to have like cross 3, all the other different individual cross pieces to make a more toolbox style. Like the deck will still obviously function very similar to how it's been.
Yeah.
Be very aggressive with little guys and be able to do all that stuff. But then now having additional variety in pieces of what you're doing instead of just looping the cross 4 and then ending with the cross 5.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be exciting. I think that will give a fun aspect to the deck where it won't turn away players.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a fun set to play. A lot of fun new cards, a lot of crazy formats.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that one.
I really like that Clockmon too. The last reveal I know I'll talk about, but that Clockmon is almost like a better Bokomon. That's what I thought of because it's on play. You grab 2 cards from the things that you reveal, but then it has blocker.
Yeah.
Like if they would have given Bokomon blocker, Boko might have been restricted, back then. Obviously, you needed
Everyone's
Boko
already calling for it to be restricted.
Yeah, because Boko does so much as it is. Yeah. And this Clockmon, I'd have to see the deck. I'd have to see all of these interesting save pieces like laid out and just spend 2 hours just tinkering with this to see how it would turn out. But I think that, that it's crazy to see the evolution of the game where all of a sudden now it's like it's an on-play searcher with blocker.
Yep. So, I mean, that's it for BT12 reveals. I think by next week, we might have the rest of the set. I mean, if we're looking at the pace that we're getting the cards now, I think we'll have the rest of the set. Hopefully, we'll have that secret. And then we get into the fun stuff, the alt arts reveals. I can't wait to see those.
It's always fun.
Well, I think that this week's going to be a layup for both of us because we've already talked about our cards of the week throughout this entire podcast. But let's just jump into our cards of the week. I already know what yours is. Why don't you tell everyone, and we'll just we'll get to mine.
Justimon Critical Arm. That is my card of the week.
That's the new one, right?
That is the newest Justimon. That is correct.
Yeah.
So I was a huge fan of Digimon Tamers growing up, watching that, and then Justimon was always my favorite out of the series. I know I was never a Galmon stan, or I do like Bizamon, don't get me wrong. How could you not like Bizamon? But Justimon was always my favorite.
Yeah.
So this is like such a well-written card that I really wanted to take this opportunity that I have to share how proud of Bandai I am for making this card, because I feel like they did a really good job actually designing this card.
I agree.
This was another example of they kind of understood the direction Justimon was going, and they understood how powerful it is. Like you kind of, the way I like to play the deck, it's like a really OTK style where you're getting multiple swings. Like you're swinging with Cyberdramon, you then Digivolve into Blitzarm, unsuspend, swing again, unsuspend because of the Tamers and stuff. And Critical Arm really adds to that without being completely broken. It is a good balance. It's a great, fun additional. It's a perfect natural second level 6 at the moment. I know we're getting the Accel arm, so that will also be included in my decks, and I will always be updating Justimon for this reason. So I really like the lore. I really like how Bandai designed the card. It's good removal. It can kill a 9 cost when you do its full thing. It does have the requirement of having the Tamers, so it's not like it's just free and broken. I just think this is a very well designed card.
I agree.
As well. So
I didn't realize how menacing it was until you played it against me, because you don't see a lot of lists, right?
Yes. So I swung for 30K on the 4th swing with the Justimon yesterday. It was incredible. I had to have so many things happen to get there, but
it's very, very cool. A very fun deck. I mean, I love zoo decks, obviously. So the fact, and they're getting harder and harder to build.
They really are. So you really have to get more and more creative.
All right. Yeah. So let's just jump into mine, because
yes, please.
I feel like this is almost both of our cards of the week because it did so much work for us. Like, let's just elephant in the room. It's Iron Fist, right? Iron Fist is Onslaught. Old card, was it BT6? Yeah, it came out with the Genku stuff, right?
Yep.
Another good card that came out of BT6. Go figure, right? How many good things came out? It's ridiculous.
Great.
Because Black just didn't have very good removal until this came out, right?
No, you had Ultimate Flare and Infinity Cannon.
Yeah, so you had to de-Digivolve to do anything, right? So this is just like, you're going to kill a big body, but you're also going to kill anything. Like if they have multiple that have the same play cost, they're all dead. So, which is what happened to me tonight. It's happened to you multiple times. Like it's such a good card. It's such a good card. And it's hard not to run it in a black deck.
It's really hard not to. Absolutely. I agree. It's almost like you should run one or two of in every black deck you run,
Well, especially in this format, because I mean, you do see the Reapers, and then it's just like, it's a Death X removal, right? It's
I mean, any card that can kill 4 Death X's at the same time, I think deserves a good mention for sure.
And 8 is expensive, but I mean, with Memory Tamers and all the boosts and stuff, a lot of times you're able to get to 4, and so it doesn't feel terrible to give your opponent 4 and wipe out their big body and make them either start over, or have some kind of response. So those are kind of our layups for the week. I think that they're both really good cards. Your Justimon one was just blew me away when we were playing. I had no idea it could do that. I never.
A lot of people didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I felt bad. I had to show them how the loop works with the Justimon loop, and I would just go back and forth between Blitzarm, Cradle
People
Arm.
were reading that card all night long. So. All right, well, let's wrap this up because we have a lot to do today. We're remodeling the shop. Feel free to come down, check out Wayward City Games if you're in the Portland, Vancouver area. But we have EX3 coming out next week.
Yes.
And we have Store Champs next week. We have all kinds of stuff that we're preparing for. What is the first deck you're going to build in EX3?
Okay, so the best decks of EX3, in my opinion, are going to be Bloomlord and Deep Brigade. No questions in my mind at this point. I could be wrong. I've been wrong in the past, but those are insanely strong decks. So I know I got to get that content out to you guys, so I will be working on those, but I'm going to be selfish. And those will be the second and third decks that I work on. And the first deck I'm going to build is Aegis Dramon. I've never been loyal to blue or nothing, but this looks like such a fun deck to play. Has really good ways to build it. This is going to be one of those that I think really pushes my deck building to a new level, because there's going to be so many fun tricks that I can do that I really have to see how it does in testing, because it could be really bad.
Yeah, you're asking me for a bunch of weird cards that nobody's ever asked me for.
Another thing about this is I have to wait to see the physical card to see what the translations say. Right, because I was referencing Japanese lists throughout the past week, kind of looking at this stuff. I love getting ideas from, like standing on my ancestors' shoulders, of like seeing how well they build these decks, and seeing what cards they've picked, and sometimes they have different traits.
Yeah.
And another honorable mention is that Dorbikmon, exact same reason. I'm very excited for that Dorbic, but I have to see that translation to see what exactly is it. Dinosaur? Is it sea animal? Is it aqua beast? Is it amphibian?
Trait specific.
Because there's both of those style of decks are trait specific. So it's going to be really, really important to see the card in person, in English, in my hand, before I can make all my final decisions.
That's cool. I agree. I can't wait to see those decks you build.
Yeah.
Now, we know we got some players. We're going to have everything.
We are. We have a great team.
We have people that are excited to play Examon. We have people that are excited to play D-Brigade. We have all that stuff coming.
I mean, we have people who realize Imperial's going to be way better in purple and red. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't say way better, but the color combo's better.
Yeah, but they've already told us that they're just going to fix that and make it blue and green again. But speaking of dual colors, I'm excited for that new Chaosdramon. I'm just going to beat that dead horse all day. I can't wait to finally have a consistent color profile in Machine Dramon where you can use a memory boost and not bottom deck a level 6 that you desperately need.
Yeah.
And it just has such great effects. And it's finally, my machine is going to be, there's a chance that it's going to be immune to Megadeth. Finally, for the first time, so it's going to be.
That's always been the bane of your existence.
And my favorite part that I'm super excited about is that you'll be able to tuck multiples of the same cyborg underneath, so you can really double up on some of those either. So it's going to really change up, I think, the way that I play my level 5s or choose my level 5s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you'll be able to double and essentially triple up those combos if you want to. So you can add a lot more DP or add a lot more security attacks, or make them very immune by adding more blockers underneath if you need to. So I'm definitely going to have that Chaos Storm. I've already started that build, as you know. So I think that is going to be where I'm at. And like I said, store champs are coming up. I don't know what I'm going to play for store champs.
Especially since we have 2 different days with 2 completely different formats.
Yeah, that's the best part. We have a Wednesday that's going to be a BT10 format pre-restrictions, and then we're going to have a Saturday that's going to be an EX3 post-restrictions store tournament.
Yep, 2 completely different decks I'm going to have to play, I think. So
most exciting way to do it. But anyways, we got a lot to do, guys. Thanks for joining us. If there's anything you want us to cover, feel free to just throw it in the comments. We appreciate it. And we hope you enjoyed the new cameras. We kind of upgraded some high definitions in this place. So
always improving around here.
Always trying to get better. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See you next time.